Hello, it's good to be back here. I've emerged from my editing cave, and we're going to give an update on what Mass of the Ages is doing and a little bit about our new website we just launched. But before I do that, I want to bring in my guys, my little Mass of the Ages men, as I call them all the time. Here's Dan Driver, Director of Operations, and Christian Esqueda, Director of Development.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello and howdy.
Here's a question for you guys, Dan and
hmm
Christian. What do you do at Mass of the Ages, and what's your favorite film from Mass of the Ages?
Let's start with favorite film. Uh Probably the third one.
You stole my. Oh my gosh. I was setting up a joke and
Sorry.
you just stole it. You
Oh,
were
I'm
going to
sorry.
say number one or something. No, you might have said two. Christian would have. Well, we'll hear what Christian. I was going to come in with the joke.
I'm sorry. Should
I'm
we
not-
start again? Ask me again.
Okay, so hey Dan, you'll driver. What is your favorite Mass of the Ages movie?
Number one.
Christian, how would you like to?
Definitely, I'd say number two.
Yeah, episode 3 is my favorite film. It just, well, we can give it a little update to it, but it's like a mixture of 1 and 2, but it's like a culmination of everything we're working for.
And one plus two is 3. So
That's true.
That's amazing. Good job.
See,
Well, what do
that's
you
why-
guys do at Mass of the Ages?
I'm the math guy, as you could probably tell. No, I'm director of operations. I make sure people do their job, and we have systems and things. And I produce on set, and sometimes assistant direct with Cam too.
Love it. Thank you for all you do, Dan. I am director of messing up punchlines for Cameron, and well, Dan took the thunder this time, but that's all right. No, what I do at Mass of the Ages, I build relationships with all of you, our supporters. So my job is to connect to Mass of the Ages, kind of put a conversation to it, and so reach out and thank people for the donation. So thank you for supporting us, if you have. If not, thank you for supporting us with your eyes of watching the trilogy.
And Christian gets the funds we need to make big things happen. So that's kind of what we're talking about today. So here, we just launched our website. Here it is. I think it was last week. This is the front porch of the Latin Mass. And why do we do this? So the front porch, we built our website brand new from the ground up because after episode 2 came out, took some time to think about where the Latin Mass movement is. You know, the restrictions are coming down hard. And we realized that 98%, so hear this statistic. This is crazy. This might blow your mind. When you look at practicing Catholics, so Catholics who attend Mass week after week, about 98% of them attend the new Mass, which means about 2% or less attend the Latin Mass of practicing Catholics. So, you know, when we go to a Latin Mass parish, it's like burgeoning with people. People travel hours away to get there, and sometimes, and we think the Latin Mass movement is just exploding and expanding, and it actually is. I mean, we compare it to like the '80s, obviously. When you compare it to even 5 years ago, it is expanding. But we realize there's a lot of work to do, and we want to move the needle with the 98%. So there's a lot of good missions out there that work for the 2%, and we're fans of those places and get fed by those places. But we want to move the needle. We want people who attend the Novus Ordo Mass to attend a Latin Mass for the first time. We want a priest who's, has conservative leanings to learn the traditional Latin Mass. We want to make it as easy as possible for Latin Mass communities to begin and to flourish. So we built the front porch of the Latin Mass. You can think of this as the first step for a lot of people, or the next step for curious people about the Latin Mass. So it's beautiful. That's the first thing you'll notice. It gives information about what the Latin Mass is. And then you get to this part, it's like, oh, okay, we're about some big things here. So when you get to the website, you'll see not that we have a lot of this stuff already done and it's shipping out, but we're working on it right now. So one thing we're working on as we speak, our editor's putting it together probably and watching this live stream at the same time, is a priest training. So, you know, it's not enough to just put a missal in a priest's hands and say, learn the Latin Mass. So there have been, you know, video series that have come out to try to walk the priest through how to say a Latin Mass. And those are good, but we're experts in communicating through film. And so we brought that expertise to a priest training, and we're currently producing something we're really excited about. I'll just share some little screenshots here. I'm glad this isn't radio. Oh my gosh, I might have deleted them. No, here they are. Why isn't that coming up?
You got them? You good?
There they are. All right. So one shot you've probably never seen done for something like this is an overhead shot. You see everything on the altar. We can zoom in. We can show exactly where things go. It's just a beautiful angle. Monsignor Morris helped us out with this. And we just have some amazing shots. So people are going to be drawn in through the beauty, but we'll also have worked with a lot of outside people, a lot of collaborators to get just the right wording. You know, we have it audited from all kinds of different places just to make sure we're giving the best training.
Yeah, liturgical experts.
Yeah, because we're not
specifically.
Experts. Yeah. So that's really exciting. So let me pull up the website again. So then, again, beautiful stuff. You have some people you'll recognize. And then our Latin Mass Finder. So we're proud of this because this is the most accurate Latin Mass Finder out there, we think. So when people, you know, because we vet this, we have people submit changes all the time. There's a way to submit a change. So you imagine this is your first time hearing about the Latin Mass. You type in Latin Mass in Google or Pope Francis Latin Mass or whatever. This is going to rank really high. And we want people to land here and take their next step. You know, attending a new Mass can be kind of intimidating. We're going to give people resources. So you can imagine, I want you to think of it like this. So before someone makes the decision to attend a Latin Mass, there's a lot of things that have to happen before they make that decision. So firstly, they need to be aware it exists. So there's this wide part of the funnel where we just need to reach them with the message that there's a new form of Mass. It's actually different than the Mass you attend. It's not just a different language. And that's like what our films do really well. So we have millions of people discovering the Latin Mass for the first time because of our films. Episode 3 is going to be even bigger than that. And then what do they do? Right? Because there's like dozens of places they could go to, which are places that frankly feed the 2%. So what about the person who's just interested in more information? What we're really excited about is developing a Latin Mass Explained series. So people have sent us, you know, comments all the time about, can your documentary talk about this? Can it talk about that? Can it talk about the priest's fingers? Can it talk about communion in the hand? Can it talk about Gregorian chant? Whatever it is. And we want to create a series that helps people overcome that first hurdle they have before they attend Latin Mass. So we're working on a lot of cool stuff. What are you guys most excited about?
I mean, definitely the priest training series. It's got to be like number one. I don't know if you're going to get to this a bit later on, but like we really hope that many diocesan priests around the world will take the course, and you know, if they have permission, then they can start celebrating Mass. If they don't have permission, then they can learn about their spiritual patrimony. It's it's an incredible opportunity for any Catholic priest to learn about the faith that they belong to.
I love that, Dan. For me, actually, I am personally really excited about the Latin Mass Explained series. The reason for it is because, I mean, we have it on the website. I love that it's so high up. It says Mass can be intimidating, or your first Latin Mass can be intimidating. Because as we continue to create things that allow the average, or just a layperson who is curious to dive in deeper as far as just why go to the Latin Mass. I think that just helps the movement, helps people in their prayer life, brings more people to Christ. And that's ultimately what we want. So just the little, not so little questions that people have of the Latin Mass, we want to give them that answer, and to be able to do it in such a beautiful way, like we've done for the first 2 episodes. And of course, Guardians of Tradition, episode 3, I think it's going to be so helpful and prove to be so fruitful.
Without Latin Mass priests, we don't have the Latin Mass, simply enough. And we're not here to make any particular decision in any particular diocese. You know, there's circumstance and prudence involved and all that. What we're here to do is create the best Latin Mass content, including a priest training, so that any priest everywhere in the world, translated into dozens of languages, can learn the traditional Mass, so that 1 year from now, 10 years from now, a generation from now, when the Latin Mass is, removed from these restrictions, we'll have an even tenfold increase in Latin Mass attendance. Because you think about, 2% of practicing Catholics, we want to double Latin Masses. That's like getting to 4%. There's a lot of opportunity ahead of us, and we're not naive. We know it's like we know that the Holy Father is currently restricting Latin Masses, making it harder for bishops to allow it. But I think we need to think longer term. We need to think about what we're building for the next generation. And yeah, priest training is a huge part of that.
That really excites me. I mean, you've probably heard us say that we're striving to double Latin Masses. And Cameron, do you have that as a question we're going to answer later on?
No, you go ahead.
And yeah, like you might be asking, well, how are you going to know if you've doubled? Well, we know that the number is somewhere. How many worldwide did we say?
My number I was looking at was when you consider locations, not Mass times, but locations. You can do it by venues, you can do it by Mass times. But when I look at venues that are non-SSPX, because we're trying to operate under the structure of the parish and the bishop, it's about 1,000.
About 1,000 worldwide.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So that's just like increasing it to 2,000. How do we quantify it? Well, we hope that when they sign up, a diocesan priest signs up on our website, we'll be able to see who's completed it. We'll kind of count that based on their location as a new Latin Mass occurring.
Yeah. We can see how many priests have taken the training. We can see what locations they're at. We can follow up with them to see if they've added a Latin Mass time. It'll take some work, but
location's important. I mean, even just location on a basic level could just be helpful. If that place is a non-restricted diocese, then we can probably count it as a win. And yeah, it's not a super accurate way, but it's something that we think we're just going to blow through, and we've given ourselves a long time period to do that. So we're really excited for it.
So I want to move into Guardians of Tradition. So we have seen a draft as a team. There's, it takes a long time to make a movie, but you start off with a script and you obviously have to film it. A lot of Hollywood productions film for 30 days and then they're done and they move into post-production. When you're making a documentary like this, I mean, we're still filming. Like we have I forget all the productions coming up, but we just came back from Mexico. We're heading somewhere in the country. And then we're going to France and England here soon. We have another location in the books as well. So we're still filming. We've been filming for like 3 years. Big story. So you have a script, and we had that. Then it's roughed out into kind of like a string out. We watched that together as a team. We're still adding footage as we speak. And we're really excited about it. So I want to just update you guys and let you know that if you go on our website, let me add it again. No, I want to see you guys too. You don't want to just like, that's funny. If you go to our website and just scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a thing that says Get Notified. We're going to have in-person and online screenings of Guardians of Tradition. We're going to be messaging our email list to see if you want to see it, which I bet most of you will want to see it. But mainly we'll be doing a survey to see where you fall kind of on the spectrum. So we don't just want, the traddiest of traddies, Traddy Cathy, watching our films. We want a broad range of types of people from different backgrounds. So that's your way you can see Guardians of Tradition soon. And I'm really excited about that because we're putting together drafts. We have a team draft. I have a wife draft. There's so many drafts. And then very soon we'll have some public drafts to share publicly. So that's really exciting. Actually, I have a story. So when we were making episode 2, a lot of people don't know this, but here's a little lesson for you. When you're showing your film in a theater, like a proper theater, you need something called a DCP, which is a digital cinema product or project. That is how the movie theater can read your film and play it on its fancy schmancy system. Something to do with Linux. Jake told me about it once and I forgot. So we have to make this DCP for episode 2, and we're showing it in the theaters in like a couple weeks. And I hear back from the theater that it's not working. And so I'm like, I get a laptop, I download Linux. Jake, who's on our team, is walking me through how to do Linux things, commands, so that we can get the film onto this DCP, get the DCP to the theater. We have to ship it to them. So it's like 2 weeks before our first premiere. We don't know if it's going to work. And I had the first overnight with my wife without the kids in like 8 years. Like we've never done it before. So here we are in Florida. And I don't know if when I show up at the theater in 2 days, if it's even going to play. So talk about stress level. It was really hard to retain my peace. With that said, we're just making sure that episode 3 is the best product, and there's extra levels of iteration we've put into our process, and we're just so excited to share more information. You're going to see stuff really soon about episode 3.
Something I didn't know about episode 3 or the previous episodes was just like some of the lineup that we have on the back end, the people that you're not going to see or hear from, is amazing. Like you have that one, we have the what's he called, an audio mixer or a
re-recording mixer,
yeah,
sound editor,
and he's worked on movies such as
Get Out and other Hollywood films. Like he's Jordan Peele's re-recording mixer.
So like
awesome.
This is like high quality movie making right here. I love it.
Yeah, we understand we're making a film. We're not making a nice video that's going to please, the tribe we're a part of. Like we're making something that is going to reach millions of people. It's going to make a cultural splash, and we're going to do it right.
Yeah, and really we want it to like change the hearts of bishops in particular, priests as well, and then laity. Like again, 2% of all practicing Catholics, are traditional Catholics, right? In fact, it's less than that. It's like closer to, I think it's actually closer to 1.5%.
Yeah, we say less than 2%.
Yeah,
but it's rough because it's based on Crisis Magazine and La Nef. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct. They did research, and they did research in Italy, France, some part of Europe, and America. So that's already where Latin Mass communities are already growing more than the rest of the world. So it will be slanted. So we just say less than 2%. It's an estimate.
But we want it. We want the 98 point whatever % to be watching the film. Like, we think that it's going to change a lot of hearts. So you guys who can't wait for the film to come out, like, when it does, like, organize yourself a like party where you watch it online together, get some drinks in, have some friends who haven't been to the traditional mass or have been discussing whether or not they should or are curious about it. Get them to watch it, and then get them to tell us what they think as well.
Cameron, here's a question for you. One question I get, and I don't know if you've actually shared this. So if it's all still
this might be
secretive,
really embarrassing. We'll see what
no,
you
no,
ask.
no, it's nothing personal. No, when it comes to episode 3, or I guess I'll start by saying with episode 1 and episode 2. Episode 1 showed discover the beauty of the Latin Mass. Episode 2 showed what happened, right? That was the general theme.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say, if you could sum it up, what could be or what will be the general theme for episode 3 for those who are, I find that people like the theme, then that's the question I get a lot. What could you say is a theme of episode 3?
Yeah, so let me start with episode 1. Episode 1 is like low barrier story entry into the Latin Mass. It's winsome, story based, doesn't get much into the politics at all. Episode 2 was like an intriguing, investigative, uncovering the facts. And it was necessary to like tease out a lot of misperceptions people had about Vatican II, the new Mass, Pope Paul VI, Spunini. People just didn't know the facts. And really, with when you look at a trilogy, you see this in a lot of places. It's kind of the point in the series where the apple cart gets upset. So you have the apple cart here in episode 1. It gets upset. And then the third one is about how do we put this back together? And it's never the same, right? You never have the same apples in the apple cart. Never the same arrangement. And story is about going on a journey, encountering and overcoming obstacles, so the suffering, and coming back changed. So the third is always about a synthesis. It's setup, upset, reset, is how I've heard Peter Kraft put it. And so episode 3, we've got up to, in episode 2, we went to the release of the new Mass. That was about where we stopped. Well, episode 3 is about today, and it's about the restrictions today. And I think when people watch episode 3, they're going to be filled with hope and I want to say a little bit about hope in a second. Filled with hope and ready to take action, ready to do something to reform the church, to piously respond and do something heroic even. Hope hope is the theme of episode 3, and specifically suffering produces perseverance, and perseverance produces character, and character produces hope. So hope is born out of suffering, and it's not a shallow thing. When I worked in nonprofit filmmaking, I got a lot of notes. It's like, we want this to be hopeful. And by that, they just meant happy and naive and shallow. But episode 3, what I love about it is it sets things up so well. I think people will be like, yeah, this is the state of the church. This is how I feel. I agree, that this is a fair, setup for the rest of the film. And then it takes that suffering and brings something out of it. And I think people will be moved to tears, moved to action. I mean, this morning, I didn't share this with you guys. I'm putting together a section of episode 3. I'll just say Mexico. And something clicked, and you'll just have to see the film because I don't want to reveal too much. And this is like I think 4th or 5th time I'm in tears putting together this thing, because I've realized the gift we've been given. We stumble around and we see, we have a plan, and we can see, just the next step. The Lord's word is a light unto our path, so we can just see the step in front of us. But then when you assemble this footage, you realize what we've been given has gone far and above what we could have even planned for. There's no one in the world that wants episode 3 to be out more than I do. Like, I want this out yesterday, but we're hard at work on it. I'm just excited for people to see it. So we'll go to questions now. We'll wrap up here soon. While Margot's pulling up the questions, I'll go back to our website. You guys love it when I transition to the website. Check out our donate page. We'll tell you the projects we're working on. You can read more about those. Consider becoming a monthly supporter. When we have monthly supporters, then we can project, we can do, this many films. We can have much more confidence in the future of our organization. We're a nonprofit, so your gift is tax deductible, and we want to give you stuff in return. So you can see what you get when you become a monthly supporter. When you become a supporter, you might get stuff too. I don't know how we do that, but become a supporter. We want to give stuff back to you. There's some sweet stuff you can get, and we're looking for monthly supporters, but any gift, obviously, we're happy to get. Thank you so much. All right, any questions, Margot?
Yeah, one just came up, and I can't see it. It's in our chat.
Oh, in our chat. I'm sorry, Margot. What am I doing? Oh, okay. Well, let's do this. I think I need you to be an admin. So let's do this, because I want to highlight your questions. We'll start highlighting questions in the chat. So 3 of us, if you go into comments, you'll see questions there. We'll just tag team this.
One that I do see that Margot sent, and then we can tag team. From Megarian peasant, have you spoken, interviewed, or filmed with faithful who have had their parish TLM suppressed because of Traditionis Custodes?
Yes, that's all we can say.
And it's one of those just falls in your lap. The Lord is making this project, and we get to be a part of it, and it's gonna be life-changing for people to see.
We coincidentally even have spoken to some agrarian peasants too, so
That's right. Cool. Let me look through the comments here just for a couple minutes.
All right.
Wait, what is happening? Okay, what is happening here? Is this Margot asking who Margot is? Why is Mass of the Ages asking who Margot is? Has someone hacked us? What is happening? Margot, help. This is a good question. Thank you, Fruit of Silence. Wonder if you're waiting for other proverbial shoes to drop to be sure you get the whole story. Yeah, I mean, that's part of it. So when we make a documentary that we want to be, in some sense, definitive, it's not going to include, everything, obviously, because the story's always going to be evolving. But we're nimble enough to incorporate any more dropping shoes, to put it that way. But no matter what shoes drop, our film has a very specific, approach and message to it that we'll be able to. It won't be like overnight our plans are ruined or anything like that. But yeah, we're keeping our ears close to the ground to hear of anything coming up.
Bob Nelson asks, who created the Novus Ordo? And I would just encourage you to watch episode 2 of Mass of the Ages to find.
Yeah, Bob, have you seen episode 2? We're interested to hear what you think. Okay, some interesting comments here. What is the link to sign up for the email list? Go to latinmass.com and just scroll to the bottom. You'll see go here. Near the bottom, you'll see a thing that says join us, and another thing says get notified. So you just need your name and contact info there.
Cameron, Stephen Shipman asks, are you getting any support from any bishop/cardinal?
Yes. Episode 3 has the most bishops interviewed than we've had in other episodes. And
cardinals.
Yeah. Right. So I don't know if I want to share much more than that, but you know the bishops we've already interviewed, Schneider, Strickland. I hate starting to mention them because then I forget who else. But you know the bishops we've
Conley.
Bishop Conley. Thank you. We've interviewed him twice, and there is also a cardinal and maybe a second cardinal. We'll see.
Mac asks, what's the target date for the 3rd?
So we're not giving a hard date right now because, like I shared before, I don't know if you heard my story about panicking over a DCP while I should be on vacation with my wife and not even knowing if the thing's going to play in the theater. But you don't want to set a date prematurely because things are constantly evolving. I mean, the story is constantly evolving. We have a date internally that we're working towards. What I can tell you is very soon, likely this summer, you'll be able to, if you're one of the few chosen, if you join our email list, we will have people watch it both in person at a theater and online. So we have a target date, but we're not sharing it publicly yet. You'll get more information about that through social media for sure.
Fruit of Silence asks, are you still working on a comprehensive director's cut for the entire trilogy?
Define working on, planning to work on for sure. I mean, at the beginning of our stream, we detailed, the things we're working on includes priest training, includes a Latin Mass Explained series. There's so much that needs to be done to reach the 98% and to start moving the needle. The director's cut will likely fall in the near future simply because we have the films all dialed in. There will be just minor adjustments to make. And we know it's important for a lot of people to get the films on DVD. So that is a high priority for us.
Cameron, what can you tell us about the, this is a question from Dan Driver. What can you tell us about the storefront?
I don't know. What can you tell us about the storefront, Dan?
It's going to be awesome. We're working on...
Should I pull it up?
I mean, you can, yeah. Over the next several months, you'll start to see some really cool things appear on there. Stuff for families and individuals and priests. And right now, you can see there's some pretty sweet swag.
I love this phone case. And also, I'm not ashamed to say I love this onesie.
It is true.
It's amazing.
You do look great in it, too.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we got some cool stuff there and adding more stuff very soon.
And Brandon says, great new website you guys have now. We used to use the website for our wedding to educate our family and friends. Also, are you hiring by chance? I am in the market for work currently. Well, if you can convince people to join and donate, we will be growing and growing and growing, and we'll need to be hiring and hiring and hiring.
What work do you do? Yeah, we could. I mean, what kind of work? What do you mean, man? We're here.
This is a great question from the Love of Wisdom. Any plans to touch upon the SSPX or the controversy there, especially in light of Bishop Strickland's recent comment that they are not schismatic?
Good. Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for your question. You have to touch on the SSPX because it's a part of the recent story of the Latin Mass coming back into the fore. Archbishop Lefebvre's involvement was critical, an important part of the Latin Mass becoming mainstream. So we have to touch on it. Now, there's going to be some iteration to find out the proper balance for touching on it. And that's why we have so many stages of iteration. We have experts on kind of both sides of the issue. You will not get an exhaustive, it's not an SSPX documentary where you're going to get the whole story, because we just need to be similar to episode 2. Like, there's so many rabbit trails we could have gone down, but we just wanted the fundamental question to be answered, or the thesis that, the new mass is not the mass of Vatican II. That's the thesis, and so then people can do their own research and follow up in other ways. So we definitely will touch upon it.
Gregorian Chunk Academy, thank you for the super chat.
Thank you.
Personal question for Cameron: what's your filmmaking background?
God cool, Dan. I'll throw this one to you. Yeah, thanks for your super chat. I appreciate that. So, this is kind of a weird way to approach it. I recently made a documentary film about my dad, who passed away 5 years ago, and maybe I'll post the link in the description. He's always walking around with a video camera, and there's multiple times I went through all his footage after he passed away, all the footage he shot. There's multiple times where he's filming me, and all I can say is, what does that do? How does the sound go through the camera and you hear it? Like, I'm asking, that's exactly how I sound as a child. It's a really good impression. And I'm always asking about the video camera. I'm really interested. So, I'm just going to fast forward and say it's always been a part of my life. It was at the same time I discovered the Latin Mass, funny enough. So that would have been 2012-ish, 2011, 2012. I got my first professional job in video. So kind of self-taught, didn't go to school for it, and learned a lot through trial and error. Started my own business making films for nonprofits. And then 2020, we did a Kickstarter for Mass of the Ages, and I've been learning a lot. I think that's why I just like each film we produce more than the previous one. And I surround myself with people who are smarter than me at many different things.
So
thanks for the super chat.
Mac asks, will there be theater premieres? And Cameron's already answered a little bit. We're going to do one big premiere. And we're going to invite you all and all your friends, and we expect you to be there, and it's going to be awesome. What else would you say about it, Cameron or Christian?
It's going to be, if I could think of a word more awesome than awesome, I'd say that, because it is going to be ultra awesome. And it's just going to be pulling out all the stops. It's going to be a proper world premiere of Mass of the Ages. We want to see as many people there as possible.
Brian Carroll
Christian will be there too.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's exciting.
Brian Carroll asks, what's next after the third episode?
Oh man, Brian? I want some more context, because there's some short film stuff we've talked about, the training stuff. But are you asking about big things, like big films, like an episode 4 or a kind of a movie? Are you asking about the next movie? Curious what you think.
I bet he hasn't responded yet, but I bet he wants to know more about the feature length films that we might be doing. Why don't you ask that while we wait for his response?
Yeah, that sounds good. So in terms of movies, feature length films, I don't know if we'll ever stop making feature length films. So yeah, that is going to happen likely. I mean, the scriptures say, never say tomorrow I'll do such and such a thing, because the Lord could take your life tonight. The plan is, we'll always be making films, and feature length films, cultural shaping films, because like we said earlier, films do a great job about introducing millions to an idea or to a movement. And so these, very granular, like short films about communion in the hand or Gregorian chant or whatever, and this like Latin Mass training series, those are like the zoomed in granular kinds of things. But we want to point millions of people to what we're doing. And the film is just a great medium for that.
And also the actual answer to that is, what are we creating next? It's going to be nothing if people aren't supporting us. So it really is. If you believe in us and the project, and we will need fundraising for it, because we do want to keep making like high quality content, and just to reach millions with it. So please encourage those around to support the project.
Support and watch.
It's amazing that we have a nonprofit whose goal it is to increase Latin masses worldwide, and we make movies. Like, those are both expensive endeavors. And we've had a lot of generous people, show up already to make it happen. But you're right, Dan. I mean, future, nothing's going to happen, if people don't donate.
Brandon has a personal question for each of us. Where are we located?
Latitude, longitude, I think
yeah.
he said.
Yeah, and social security number. And
he works for the FBI.
Yeah.
Hey, so where are you guys?
Yeah, we're all over. We're all over.
We're all over.
He said Ohio. And he's not just saying, oh, hi. Oh. And Christian is...
So cheesy. Texas.
And I'm Texas. And then we have like Virginia. We have also more Ohio. And where's John? I keep thinking Florida, but it's not Florida. He just told me today. Sorry, John. I know you're watching.
Did he move?
No, he didn't move. Well, I mean, Alabama. Sorry. Thank you.
Sorry, John.
I got there.
I'm not good at geography.
I got there.
Margot knew it.
Before Margot posted.
Oh, really?
Brandon got embarrassed about us thinking that he was asking personal questions. Patricia Parsons asks, do you have a prayer team or have asked your fans to pray because the opposition will not be happy with your success to grow the TLM?
We do have a prayer team. So when you get notified on our website, say, I want to join your prayer team. So when we do big things, we experience this whenever we go on set, like the days leading up to it, it is chaotic. Like the worst things happening in our households. And we tell our prayer team, hey, we're going to be in such and such a place. Please pray. We know we're surrounded by a legion of angels and Our Lady and Saint Joseph. This is the Lord's work. So.
Quick anecdote on that. On a recent production, when we went to Mexico, everything in my family, I was on the Mexico team. Everything in my family was going wrong, and I was this close to canceling the trip on my part, saying I just can't do it for my family. And we got the most amazing, beautiful, heart-wrenching stories. And just on a personal level, the faith there is just a marvel to see. So God was moving in it, and I just felt lifted up when we got there by the prayers of all of our supporters. So yes, you can be a prayer warrior. Just always remember us. We need the protection.
I'm gonna take a few more questions.
Yes.
Awesome.
Love the truth. Would you consider talking on the differences on both genders within the TLM? Masculine roles and feminine roles in the TLM.
In the TLM? Do you mean in our films or just?
I think he means like trad, being a trad.
Well, okay. What's interesting is, so you have there's a lot of ideas for, future work. We have a lot of potential projects come up, and you're actually in the ballpark of one of the projects we've talked about. If you want me to off the cuff right now explain masculine and feminine roles within the TLM, I don't think I'd have a good answer. I haven't thought about it enough.
Another question I saw from Will Judy. Have you thought about doing any other films besides documentary style?
Where is that one? Oh, there you are.
315. Yes.
Thank you, Will Judy. Yes. Like I mentioned, we have a lot of projects kind of in discussion, and we're not just limited to documentary style. Now, the benefit to documentary is you can deal with the topic very directly.
I thought you were going to say you don't need actors.
Well, the downside is it just seems to take a lot longer. Like Hollywood films are done with production in 30 days, and we're still shooting, in 60, 90 days, we'll still be shooting stuff. But the benefit to a narrative film is you can approach things without people's guards being up. And so it's definitely a possibility.
Jay asks, does the Latin Mass Finder include CMRI and SSPV masses? I understand including SSPX, but do you stop short of including explicitly SEDE groups? Yes, we do
Yes.
stop short there.
Yep.
That is where we stop short.
This is a good question, Nicholas. Will we ever be able to see the interviews with Father James Jackson that were removed from episode 2? Something we promised our supporters way back during the Kickstarter was, if you support it was like $25 one time, you got a digital pass, which meant that you can see the uncut interviews of what we filmed. Now we could say, oh, we'll just limit that to what we filmed up to that point or episode 1 stuff. But what we really want to do in the future is put as many interviews online uncut for those people and anyone who kind of wants access to them. I don't know if that will still include Father James Jackson or not, to be honest. We'll see.
Another great question, Cameron, from PJ Pierce. Is there some sort of authentication process for priests to prove their priesthood when they go through this course? That's the question. Do you find it? PJ Pierce.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. We have not talked about that, but I think that would be a good idea. What would be the downsides?
We have talked about it, and we would like something.
Gotcha.
But the
well,
thing
Dan
that
is the director of operations, so this really is his question.
His memory is that of an elephant.
That's a compliment too.
Definitely.
Yes, it is. Thank you. And it is not like an elephant; it's like a goldfish. But what were we talking about again?
Authentication
that was
process.
a joke. It was a joke, I promise.
Oh, God.
I can read it right in front of me.
Gotcha.
Yes. What's the simplest thing that would get us like the greatest likelihood that they're not like an actor, a bad actor? We don't know the answer to that yet. But then again, we haven't put the course up on our website yet or started doing that. We should, by the end of the year, have a course up there with a way to sign up. And at this point, it should be accessible pretty much to anybody, but you would go through like a form and during that process would collect some kind of verification information. Who knows what that is?
Maybe there's someone watching who knows a very specific way we could do that. So let us know, help us out, get in touch with us, film@latinmass.com. Here it is. So I want to do a shout out quickly to, we're building, this front porch, the trainings, the film, but we're not doing it alone. We have collaborators who've helped us out. Some of them are like, please don't, share our names simply because it's so much tension in the air. But what I can share is shout out to Floriani, who's done some amazing recordings of the proper chants, so the chants that change Sunday after Sunday. We're building a library of resources like that for our choir training. And then Veritum Sapientia Institute, we had them record the entire ordinary of the Mass, so the unchanging Mass, the Latin of the Mass, in just pitch perfect Latin. The people who know Latin pronunciation the best, they're the ones who did this recording. So there's a lot of exciting stuff coming out, and we're excited to release it. Any final words?
Well, real quick, Brandon here just says he's used the Latin Mass submission tool on the site, and it was very easy to add any missing locations. For those of you that haven't watched the whole thing but have just joined late, we have a Latin Mass finder on our website that has the most accurate information. And that's largely because good people like Brandon are going on there and checking that the Mass times are accurate or represented. So you can go ahead and jump on our website and add it, and we'll make sure that it's updated. Thank you.
The more people add, the better it gets.
That's right.
Really good.
All right, let's close in a prayer. And I'll be happy to jump in the comments later if you guys have follow-up questions. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, amen. Pater noster, qui es in caelis, sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum de nobis hodie, et dimita nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimitimus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera nos a malo. Amen. Saint Joseph, protector of Holy Church, pray for us.
For us.
Thanks, guys, and thank you all for watching.
Thank you.
Give you more updates soon.